You're sitting at dinner with friends. Someone just bought a house. Someone else says they've been investing since 22. Another friend casually mentions their net worth hit six figures. You nod, you smile, you take a sip of your drink. But inside, something tightens. You start doing the math in your head, your savings, your rent, your credit card balance, your job. And the question shows up quietly. Am I behind? You turn 30 and suddenly it feels like there's a checklist you were supposed to complete. Own property, have investments, no debt, clear career path, maybe even a promotion or two. Nobody handed you that list, but somehow everyone else seems to be checking boxes. You scroll Instagram later that night. Engagement photos, new homes, side businesses launching, travel photos that look expensive. And it feels like you missed something. Like there was a meeting about adulthood you weren't invited to. You're not broke. You're not reckless. You pay your bills. You work hard. But compared to what you see, it doesn't feel like enough. If you're 30 and quietly wondering whether you should be further by now, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not as behind as you think. Let's calm this down. Turning 30 doesn't mean you should be rich. It doesn't mean you should own a house. It doesn't mean you should have everything figured out. But there are a few simple things that make life feel stable, not impressive. Stable. First, an emergency fund. Even 3 months of basic expenses is powerful. It means one mistake won't ruin you. Second, no high-interest debt. Credit cards charging 20% interest will keep you stuck. If you still have some, that's normal, but it should be a priority. Third, at least something invested. It doesn't need to be $100,000. Even a few thousand in a retirement account matters. Starting is more important than size. Fourth, direction. Not a perfect career, not your dream job, just a path that moves forward instead of sideways. That's it. Not a luxury car, not a six-figure net worth, not a viral side business. Social media makes it look like everyone has more, but most 30-year-olds are still building, still paying off debt, still figuring things out. The problem isn't that you're behind. It's that the comparison is unrealistic. By 30, you don't need to be finished. You just need to be moving. Most people don't feel behind because they failed. They feel behind because they compare. At 30, comparison gets louder. Someone is buying a house. Someone is getting promoted. Someone is posting about maxing out their retirement account. And you don't see the full story. You don't see the debt. You don't see the help from family. You don't see the years of stress behind that overnight success. You only see the highlight. Social media compresses everyone's wins into one scroll. 10 years of progress looks like one perfect month. That changes how your brain measures success. Instead of asking, am I moving forward? You start asking, why am I not there yet? There's also something else happening at 30. Expectations rise. In your 20s, people expect you to experiment, to struggle, to change directions. At 30, it feels like you're supposed to be settled, stable, certain. But life doesn't follow a shared timeline. Some people focused on career first. Some paid off debt. Some changed fields entirely. Some started late. Different starting points create different outcomes. If you graduated with loans, your path looks different. If you helped your family, your savings look different. If you switched careers at 27, your progress looks different. That's not failure. That's context. The feeling of being behind usually comes from looking sideways instead of forward. You compare someone else's middle to your beginning. You compare someone else's highlight to your private doubts. And that comparison creates pressure. Pressure makes you think you're late. But being late is different from moving at your own pace. Most 30-year-olds are not finished. They are building. You don't need to match someone else's timeline. You need to understand your own. If you feel behind, the worst thing you can do is panic. Panic leads to bad decisions, risky investments, lifestyle upgrades you can't afford, quitting your job without a plan. Catching up isn't about speed, it's about direction. First, clean up high-interest debt. Credit cards at 18 to 25% interest quietly erase progress. Paying those off gives you an instant return. Second, automate investing. Even a small monthly amount into a retirement account matters. You don't need to max it out tomorrow. You need consistency. Third, increase income strategically. That could mean asking for a raise, switching roles, learning a skill, or starting a side project. Not everything at once. One focused move. Fourth, lower fixed expenses if they're squeezing you. A cheaper car, a smaller apartment, fewer subscriptions. Lower pressure equals more flexibility. Most people think catching up means doubling their income. Often, it just means tightening the structure. You don't need a dramatic reset. You need momentum. Small improvements compound faster than emotional overreactions. 1 year of focused decisions can change your trajectory. 3 years can change your confidence. You're not trying to win at 30. You're trying to build a base that makes 35 easier. Turning 30 can feel like a deadline, like something was supposed to click into place. But 30 isn't a finish line. It's a checkpoint. Most people don't build real financial stability in their 20s. They experiment, they switch jobs, they move cities, they make mistakes. That's not falling behind. That's learning. The truth is, wealth compounds more from consistency than from an early start alone. Starting at 30 with focus can beat starting at 22 without direction. What matters now isn't what you missed, it's what you control. If you have an emergency fund in progress, if you're paying down debt, if you've started investing even a little, you're moving. And movement matters more than milestones. Social media makes 30 look like a highlight reel. Real life is slower, more uneven, less dramatic. You don't see the private doubts behind someone else's house purchase. You don't see the loans behind someone else's new car. You don't see the years it took to reach that overnight success. You only see the result. Your timeline is allowed to look different. The goal isn't to impress people at dinner. It's to build a life that feels stable when you're alone. If you focus on reducing debt, building savings, and investing consistently, by 35, you won't feel behind. You'll feel steady. And steady beats flashy. You're not late. You're early in your awareness. And that's where real progress begins. If this video changed the way you think, hit like and subscribe. More ideas like this are coming. See you in the next one.